Welcome to the Franchise Secrets Podcast with your host, Eric Van Horn, and my regular, reoccurring business coach guru guest, Chris Oakley, is back with us today. And we are going to try to talk about creating a culture that embraces mistakes. And when I say try to talk about, I think last time we got off on a tangent from the very beginning. So let's try to stay on track. Try not to distract me. So,
no promises.
What's it like? What do you mean create a culture that embraces mistakes?
So this is really fun. This is something new I've been working on. I read an article a couple months ago. I've been sharing it in kind of my coaching program. And it talked about, it was a study done, a proper research study done on CEOs and the ones that, what the strongest predictor of next year's revenue growth, the number one characteristic of CEOs that predicted revenue growth. And usually I take folks and make them guess a bunch of things and they never get it, but it's confidence. CEO confidence was the strongest.
I was going.
You knew it. Well, I should have known that you would have known. That's why I didn't give you the chance. I didn't want you to get that glory. And so CEO confidence is the biggest driver to revenue growth, which I thought was interesting and wanted to unpack more. It doesn't mean being right at everything. Confidence is not right? Confidence is this belief that we're going to move things around. We're going to solve the problems. We're going to get there, right? And so I thought that was really interesting. So I started peeling it back in my coaching group. And
that is so true about confidence. Like my wife thinks I'm super confident, and most of the time I am, but I'm confident in what I know, and I'm confident or I should say comfortable in knowing that I don't know everything. Is that what you kind of?
Yeah. And so you're setting me up perfectly. So I started taking our folks, and I'll take you through it. I'll ask.
As long as it makes me look really good, go ahead and take me through it.
You already are hitting it, so I think you'll do just fine. So what makes you feel confident? If confidence is the key, what makes you feel confident?
In what? Like, what do you mean? Just in general?
Yeah.
Knowing that I can eventually have the outcome that I want?
Yeah. When you know something, right? I am confident in something if I know it. And you already hit that, right? If I know something, I'm confident. Well, how do you know things, Eric?
Because I learn from other people. I learn from my mistakes, other people's mistakes, what I've done right, and what other people have done right.
Yeah, you've done it. And you've done it a bunch of times. You got reps doing something, right? And as you get reps doing something, you get experience. And this, you started something new, you learned something, you tried it. Well, you didn't do it well the first, whatever that was, or now there's a spin to it, or I didn't think about this. And, and so when you get reps, you've seen something a bunch of different times and you've seen different angles of how that plays out. And now you start to get confidence where, you haven't seen everything to your point, but I've seen enough to know that I can solve the problem. I will get through it. I've seen enough to believe that I will get right. And so it really comes through this experience and reps, makes me know something, which makes me confident, which leads to results, right? It's the strongest predictor of next year's growth. And so you kind of hit it from there. What is the key to getting experience in new areas? We've got to do new things, right? We've got to learn something new and then try it. And so I started thinking about this as business owners, and I'm taking my business owners through it and making them read books they've never read and different and some weird stuff and all of this, because I want them to get experience talking about different stuff, going into new areas. Then I start thinking
some of the uncomfortable, weird things. Like, we're like, I love to read business books and things like that. So is this like?
Well, this group is like, they read a lot of the same Patrick Lencioni books and all this stuff. And so I wanted to get them outside of this. So not necessarily
like Harry Potter.
We're reading The History of Capitalism by Alan Greenspan. We're reading 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, very contrarian, very market-based. So we're doing a lot of different things that, once again, they don't agree. And I don't agree with all of the stuff in a lot of these things. That's what I want to have the conversation around, right? Because that's what's going to give me the confidence to talk about it, to hear the other side, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And so we are getting into some different information. So then I started thinking about our team members, right? Our teams. The same is true. I need them to do new things, right? If this is a formula, do new things.
Are you talking about the executive team? Like your key?
I'm talking about every single person in life. If you want to get results, that's the strongest predictor is confidence. And if confidence is experience, reps, learning new things, doing new things, right? Like this whole path leads to that.
Mm-hmm.
So you will, I don't care what it is. That's why I tell folks, go, even in my business, go learn the guitar. If that's what you want to learn, go learn something new. If that's going to create confidence in you, and that confidence, to your point, Eric, you're confident because not that you know everything, you've learned other things because you went and learned other things that you believe now we will learn this thing. So it doesn't even have to be in line with what we're trying to achieve. It is just a belief that I know how to learn something I didn't know, learn it, and then execute on it, right? And so it's that whole thing, not even the content that matters to me. The problem with our teams, the problem with anyone, is what this does is now a team member has to try something new. And what are they doing? They're risking their job livelihood in their mind to try something new, which when you do something new, what is most likely outcome?
You're going to fail.
You're going to fail. You're going to fail. And so I'm now having to create, what am I supposed to do? I need team members to learn new things, but I'm asking them to risk their job, their paycheck, their career, whatever, on a high probability that they'll fail at something. And so I started thinking about this. It's like, crap, this is why businesses get limited, because people stay in their comfort zones and they stay in there. And I'm like, no, I want to unleash all my team members. And so I need to create a culture where we celebrate people stepping out and failing. Now, that may get expensive. That may I'm not going to say, don't be an idiot, learn from it. There is this tension there that I'm wrestling through of what that looks like. But when I brought on my assistant, Ashley, who, I said, Ashley,
yeah, I know her because I can't even get you on the phone. I try. It's like
she's doing a good job. I've got a list of folks that I send straight to voicemail. Ashley, the first thing I said to her is like, you're coming on. I'm bringing you on. The win for me is you're taking stuff off my plate, and the more that you're doing that, the better you are to me. The more valuable you are to me. And so I said, the reality is, Ashley, if you try to solve problems without me, even if it's not the way I do it, even if it fails, even if it costs me money, I will celebrate that because you're moving things without me. And I need that happening within my organization. I need people moving things without me because I am on everything, right? And I got to get out of everything.
Was that uncomfortable for her in the beginning to embrace that and be like, okay, it's really okay to have some of these failures?
So I think that we came in with, I've known in the past that we did have a trust level already, but you've got to definitely invest in that trust piece. And to me, like when she did that, I made sure I did celebrate, even though it's small. I made a big deal, like, actually, I don't care that this is wrong. Like, I don't care that I'm in the wrong hotel or whatever. Like the fact that you did it without asking me and it was on my calendar and I just showed like, cool, we'll fine tune this stuff. Like that's a huge win to me. Yep. And here's a bonus, here's a whatever, here's like, celebrate it. And that's what I'm talking about with across the board with our teams. Well, how can I celebrate those folks that are taking those steps in a good way to solve problems in new, different ways, or learn new things, or step into areas where they believe they could add more value. I need to create that culture that is not based off of fear and that is celebrated for those type deals. And that's not natural. That's not natural. You're asking people in their most vulnerable state, risking their livelihood at something they're most likely going to fail at, or have a high probability of fail at. It's not a fair thing for me to ask, right? And so I've got to change that culture and conversation around it.
So I did a video the other day. Most of the time, whenever I do like a Facebook Live, I have like one sentence in my mind and I say that sentence and then everything else just comes out after that. And I was thinking micro failures. And because I'm okay with my team and I've been like this for a long time, having failures, knowing that they're going to fail, the goal is to have them micro failures and to learn from them, or small failures, whatever you want to call them. Like, where does, what's the difference between like a big fail and a small fail?
I think as a business owner, it probably comes down to dollars or time spent on those deals, like where we feel the pain of that. So like those are kind of the things that you want to put as boundaries in for the team members. Like think about the financial, don't go buy someone a Porsche to make a customer service thing right? Like you're getting out of context in the dollars there. Or don't commit me to 3 days to go visit a client. Like those are time and money are these boundaries. Now, if we're spending a little extra, you've got room on both of those, right? Like, and step into those, and you're going to need to step into those. But think about the consequences and play out the story a little bit. Like, that's why I try to have that conversation. Play out the story a little bit. What's this really costing from a time standpoint? And that I'm not doing something else, and I have to spend these 3 days, or what is it? Find out like, hey, like we've got our quarterly tax estimate right now, and you just gave a $75,000 Porsche away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so think about how that plays out. And so those are the two pieces that I really kind of say, like, just think about the impact of those, and then make your decision. If you still think it's the right decision, well, then we'll see and let's learn.
Different people, right? And you can,
and your threshold on cash and time is going to be different in some of those deals, but talk about those kind of like, these are the things that can get out of whack.
So this is how I communicate to my team, and in different ways for different people. But it's like, hey, Michael, you know, we need to do X, Y, and Z. You know, he knows I'm off on Fridays. I spend time with family, and he knows he only needs to reach out to me if he really needs something, and I'm always there for him. If he needs something, or Samir or anybody on the team knows they can reach me. So there's just a lot of open communication. So they have and I told him yesterday, I said, he's like, hey, Eric, he said, I really struggled when you were in California because I didn't want to bother you when you were there for 3 days with your wife, but I was really hoping I could get some direction on some stuff. And I said, well, you know, instead of messing it up, just do a WhatsApp so then I can get to it 2 hours later or 3 hours later, and tell me what you're looking for and what the solution is and what you're going to do. And if that's not correct, then I'll let you know that you should do something else. If it's something that I really don't care about, he's just going to do it. Or if I'm okay with him failing in that, then I'll let him do it and he'll learn from that. So how important is communication in this world of micro failures?
I think really important. And I think the flip side is communication around the ones that they do right as well. And celebrating those and praising those is going to build that trust where they do more of that as well. So I think it plays on both sides there for sure. And once again, it's your threshold that you're comfortable with that you've got to communicate, right? For me, like, I don't give as much direction as you just did. I'm literally a question. Maybe I should give a little more direction on some of that stuff. For me, more often than not, I don't even want to put my brain space on it. So I said, just do what you think is right. And here's your budget, right? Or like do what you think, what would you want done for you? Like, and I just let them go. And, you know, does it cost me a few grand occasionally? Yeah, maybe, but maybe it's right. And maybe we learn something more. And I think that's, once again, a worthy couple grand because of the experience we learned, and maybe we tried something new. And so, like, if I'm looking in the short game, it feels like a loss. It feels like a failure. But once again, if I'm zooming out to the long game, that's a good $2,000 investment.
It's so true. Like, I was, like, you got to look at the long game. And I gave him a lot of little direction, a lot of authority and leeway to build the new website for Franchise Secrets, and then to build some funnels around that. And I just looked at a funnel yesterday. He and the funnel guy were putting it together. And I looked at this morning, I'm like, this is the wrong messaging. And I spent 30 minutes this morning doing a Loom video, kind of explaining to them where they got off and how to get back on track. And this is what I would consider a micro failure. And it's not even a failure, but they just got off in the wrong direction. Cost me just a little bit of time and a little bit of money. But I was able to get it back on track before this thing was done, with a lot more time and a lot more money a week later. But he did so many things right. You know, he did like 100 things right, and one thing got off. And really, it's my mistake. You know, the failure is me, because I, like you, didn't give enough clear communication in the beginning. But not giving clear or the absolute, like, A, B, and C all the way makes them so much better. They love it. He's entrepreneurial. He wants autonomy. He wants to, you know, he wants all of that stuff that we have, and he's getting it. But I just, you know, I hate micromanaging, and I try to have things fail fast, and so we can learn from them.
Yes, fail small, fail smash, fail fast. Something that I've been pushing a lot with some of the companies I consult with and stuff like that. And what helps in these scenarios is, once again, visibility into performance. Like a lot of rockstar employees just believe they should just go do it and will deliver this product back and prove that they could do it, and they didn't need you, and they were a good hire because they're capable to think for themselves and solve problems, which is true in some ways. But owners love visibility. So I said the best way you can actually grow within the organization and grow your value is to show your work. If he was showing his work through that time, once again, the natural rock stars, I think it's natural not to show their work, right? And just deliver this, you told me to do it, and here it is done, blah, 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 like so amazing. But it's more valuable for them to show their work, give visibility into what's happening, because then you can correct sooner on certain things or let certain mistakes play out that you can kind of decide. And so I've been coaching a lot of team members, show your work. If you're showing your work, you're actually creating peace for the owner. They know that you're doing these things. They have visibility into it. And it's not as where you think not showing your work is creating peace, that they're not having to worry about it. Reality is having that visibility and to see creates more of a piece. And I know, okay, they're moving down the right track. I can let them go, whatever. And so that's another thing you can kind of implement and talk about with your team is show your work, right? Just, in math, we had to do that, right? You couldn't just give the answer. They always say, how'd you get there? Show your work. Same thing here. Like if you're showing how you got there, you're revealing a lot more that is once again providing more value, more trust, more areas to grow, and it's also keeping those micro failures at the micro level and not the macro.
I think it's important to go back to like you and I think strategically. So it was on the first show that we did. We talked about strategic planning and how we like zoom out of the business, and it's natural for you and I to do that at this point. It's unnatural for a lot of new business owners. And if you are the perfectionist, if you are controlling, and you might not even realize that you are, but you are not allowing even the title of like a culture that embraces mistakes. Most people think, I don't want mistakes.
The amount of pushback I've already gotten back on that, like people like, what, excuse me, culture of mistakes, embracing mistakes. Like, no, that's too far. That's like the amount of pushback I've already gotten. Really? On this one, it's amazing to me.
Oh man, I love it. I mean, how else do you get better? You have to make mistakes to get better.
It's the difference at looking at the short game versus the long game.
Yeah.
It tells me immediately where they're looking.
And that's in franchises. I mean, you and I are involved with a newer franchise. They are making mistakes. All new emerging brands make mistakes, and what they know at opening 100 versus opening 10, like the store that they open up at number 10, the store that opens up at number 100 or 150, night and day difference between how those two stores open up. Sure. And it's because the mistakes that were made along the way by franchisees and by franchisors that make the franchise brand better. It's just
mistakes are valuable. The mistakes are
valuable. I remember our first when we were in the salon business, I think we saved, I don't know, it was a ton of money because someone made a mistake and lost a ton of money. And so we got to learn from that. And it was like one thing that we did in the lease that saved us a ton of money. And looking, that's exactly how we learn. Where did we stop school? That's where we stopped doing it, right? I mean, you can't, you get penalized for making mistakes. You don't get 100, you get a 90, or in my case, you get like an 80.
Yep. That's exactly right. It's rewarding the wrong things, and we got to get to the next layer of college and all this stuff. So it needs to be perfect. Yeah. We don't let people try new things. They don't risk other classes, right? I take the easy classes. I risk, like, you go to college. Well, what's the easy A? Because I got to get into the next graduate school or whatever. That's not prioritizing learning and making mistakes and growth. That's prioritizing jacked up system.
Chris, always fun. Who knows what we'll talk about next? But thanks for coming on again, talking about mistakes. Love what you bring to the show. Until next time.
Yeah, mistakes are my specialty, man. Thanks for having me. Later.